One. There it is.
Turning negatives into positives. That's what it's all about. We get to talk about that today. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business, on social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business
Bros.
Yeah,
there it is.
Fire time.
Fire time. All right, all you business pros out there. Before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder to please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're catching us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, and drop a review. Help other like-minded business owners find value from our awesome guests as we rise up in those podcast rankings. We will really appreciate it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on and learn from you as well. Go to www.businessbros.biz/podcast guest, schedule your time slot, and don't forget to follow us on all our social media at Business Bros Pod. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited and so honored to bring yet another incredible guest on the Business Bros Pod. Our guest today is passionate about building resilience in others, helping humanity get unstuck and bulletproof their minds. Our guest knows that most of what holds us back are just limiting and false beliefs, and those are just getting in our way. With our guest's help, you too can overcome those negative beliefs and gain clarity, self-confidence, abundance, and happiness in your life. With over a decade of proven experience, this incredible mindset coach can help you overcome hardships, manage stress, prevent or tackle PTSD, and develop coping skills to maintain a positive mind. If this resonates with you, you will not want to miss today's episode. Joining us today out of the Midwest in Detroit, Michigan, get ready to unleash your mindset for success with our awesome guest. Welcome to the show, Tommy Walker!
Tommy, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. What an intro. Thank you, guys. So happy to be here.
James has a way of doing that. Yeah, James has a way of doing that. Tommy,
that's my one skill. It's my one skill.
James dropped in the intro that we're going to bulletproof our mind in order to get people to understand what it takes to bulletproof your mind. I'm assuming you had some sort of hardship that you had to go through to make sure that that happens. Can you share with our audience, you know, where you come from, what got you into the position where you are today?
Yes, of course. So I started my entrepreneur journey when I was 18, more or less. I started a couple of small things going on, and most of them just failed, you know. And back then I started feeling a failure that I wasn't going to be able to do it. So I was coming back and forth, you know, working for a company, trying my own stuff, didn't work, go back to a company, try another thing, you know, keep back and forth. Who hasn't been doing that for some time, you know? Mm-hmm. And in 2003, I started a training facility. I'm from Argentina, but I lived in the States many years. Now I'm back in Argentina. So thank you for the Detroit. But now I'm sorry, I didn't let you know, guys. I'm now in South America, Argentina. So I started a company over here, and it did, you know, it just made it through. It was a struggle, a lot of stress. I started developing some health issues. And in 2008, after several years, imagine 2003, 5 years of struggle with that same business. I had already tried many businesses before that. And it was in 2008, towards the end, and a friend of mine told me, hey, Tommy, I met an amazing mentor coach. You got to work with her. And I'm like, I don't know. And he started talking about the things that he was doing with her. And it started resonating a lot. When I was a teenager, I used to read some books about the mind, about meditation, about different things. I was like, oh, this resonated with what I read back then. And I just disconnected, you know, back then. And I went over and started working with her, and my life just changed. It was amazing how my business started. It's just launched really good. And it was because, as I always say, we are limiting ourselves because of the programs we have in our subconscious mind. So whenever we want to do something, if we have past experiences that they didn't work, here we go. You know, I started several businesses, they didn't work. It's like my mind is protecting me from confirming those false beliefs from the past. So if I did something and it didn't work, I start believing that I'm not good enough. You know, it goes back even with our childhood. So now what happens is whenever you want to try something new or you want to expand, you want to whatever you're trying to do away from your comfort zone, your mind is going to say, no, wait. What are you doing? We have past experiences. So stay where you are. You're more comfortable where you are. And that's why, guys, so many people are procrastinating. They're not doing the things they're doing. They're getting stressed out. And those are protective mechanisms that the mind uses to keep you where you are in the comfort zone. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. And I think we hear that a lot, right? The only thing stopping yourself is you. You have your own limiting beliefs. You want to go sell something, you can go ahead and learn, train, read this book, read this article, listen to this podcast. All those things are take a certain amount of work, right? They take a certain amount of effort. They take a certain amount of commitment and discipline to make that shift in your life so that you have that different perspective. When you got that ability to be mentored by somebody, what was it that kind of gave you that shift? Because there's a lot of people who are like, you know what, I'm going to buy this book and that's the mentor I'm going to look up to and it's going to work great. And then they kind of read a couple pages and fall off. Why did you stick around? What was it about what was going on in your life or what your mentor was showing you that allowed you to stick to it to see the change that happens over time?
So good question. The thing was that I was in a place that I didn't want to be anymore there. So I was struggling for many years. So we're talking about 2008, but I started my entrepreneur journey around 1998. So it was 10 years more or less of struggling, starting things not working out. And then with my own business, I was about to shut the business because I was tired of struggling. Things didn't go the way I wanted. So I was fed up. When I started working with her, the good thing is I started seeing changes pretty fast, small changes. And I tell the same thing to my clients. So they're going to be small changes, but as you see the changes, it's going to make you feel better about seeking for more, like a sugar rush, a high, but in a good way. So in a way, I was working with her and not just reading books. And that's one of the things. If you start reading a book, if you start doing an online course, it's very difficult because you're trying to implement something that somebody knows really well how it works, but they're not getting all their knowledge, to the last letter and whatever, because you're just reading the book. So by reading a book or watching a video, and I tried that for many years, it wasn't working. So what I teach now is I tell people that I work with is with me, you're going to get one-on-one several sessions a month or a couple of sessions in the group sessions that I offer too, but you're going to get one-on-one with me because that's the way that we're going to be able to connect with your subconscious mind deep down to make the changes. So people get changes by reading books and doing some videos, but as we all know, most don't, right?
That's absolutely true. I've spent, I don't know how many years, countless hours in books and audios and podcasts, learning from a bunch of people doing things that they're successful at in their own particular industry. But picking those little things that this person does well or that person has done well. You read about people like, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and, these giant tycoons. And then you try to scale down what they're doing in their life or what they're doing in their business to you. That is where this imposter syndrome begins to set in, right? Well, that guy is amazing. How can I ever even compete with that? And so when you're looking at the different processes and the commitments that you've made, these small changes, what can we do to make sure that we continue going forward so that we praise these small things, right? I talk about waking up in the morning at 4:20 every morning and getting up and doing my workout and doing my run. And there's days where I'll run a 9-minute mile and there's days when I'll run a 10-minute and 30-second mile, right? But I praise the fact that I got up. I praise the fact that I worked out. I praise the fact that I did it. And even though they're small incremental things, and over time they become larger things. How do we pull the pieces that are important and implement them into our daily processes?
So one of the things, you just said it, you just answered it, and that was amazing. Start acknowledging those small wins, because the problem is that we get a win and we are looking always forward to our next win. Because what happens is that many times, and that's the shift that we need to do, and our people won't understand it, and that's fine too, is that we are looking for results to feel good about ourselves. And the problem is that the intention is the wrong one. If I'm looking to feel good about myself by the results I get externally, it's because deep down in my subconscious mind, I don't feel good about myself. So if I don't feel good about myself in my subconscious mind, I'm not going to take the actions that I need to get the results that I want. So first of all, try to see those small things that you already have achieved in the past. But instead of saying like, oh, Now I feel good because I achieved this. See it the other way around. I am good. That's why I achieved this. I am good enough, and that's why I achieved that. Does that make sense?
You're talking about the process, right? It's living, it's doing the actual doing of the work, the process of becoming that person, not actually being that successful individual, but who you are as an individual to become successful. Is that what you're kind of pointing at here?
Exactly. Discover who you really are. Get rid of the garbage in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, that you're not valuable, the imposter syndrome, all of that spikes from different negative, false, and limiting beliefs that were created when you were a kid. And now they're just reinforcing every time things don't go your way. So something doesn't go your way and you start beating yourself up. So what you're telling your subconscious mind is, right, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough. And now you're trying from there, getting results, and it's not going to work. That's why so many people are struggling in the entrepreneur journey, because they're expecting results out of, I'm not good enough, I want results to feel good enough.
What you're talking about is perspective. And it's funny because when it comes to your career, when it comes to your sales, because let's face it, if we're an entrepreneur, we're in sales, taking a shift in perspective in the sales game makes all the difference in the world when you're coming in from a value standpoint. And you hear this over and over and over again. Everybody's like, bring value first, bring value first, bring value first. And one of the things I've begun to notice is the belief that you have in your own product or service, the quality that you think that you can provide is the most value that you can put forward to any individual. And if nobody's taking you seriously, one of the first things that you should look at is, are you taking yourself seriously? Right? Do you believe in your product or service enough? Because if you do, that energy is going to come out and other people are going to sense it and feel that. But if you don't have that belief, if you don't 100%, whether it's because you don't know the product, you don't believe in your knowledge or your ability to talk to people, whatever those things that are stopping you, if you don't have that squared away, you're never going to be as successful as when you do have that confidence. How do we build our confidence level? How do we get that to the point so that when I'm talking to somebody, like when I talk to somebody about creating a podcast, you can sense my energy. You know that I'm telling you this is the most powerful thing that I've come across for my particular business. But how do I do that with, I don't know, insurance, for example? We have an insurance agency. Mm-hmm. How do I come at this angle and say, I have the confidence to help you grow your particular business?
Okay, I like that. So first of all, is try to identify the false, limiting, and negative beliefs behind it. So why couldn't I offer them help? Start from there. What is coming into my mind, triggering the narrative, the scripts that I have in the subconscious mind that are telling me that I'm not going to be able to help that person. Maybe that I've never worked on that area, that I haven't been able to help all the clients that I have. So imagine that you're starting. So you got results to one client, but maybe not to two, or to two you did and one not. And again, the mind is going to many times focus on the negativity because it's trying to protect you. So if I keep going down this road, I helped 3 people, 2 didn't work, 1 did. Oh, then I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be charging it. I should change, I do something else. And that's the mind protecting you from, again, confirming, quote unquote, your false belief that you're not good enough. So what I teach a lot is, instead of the strategies on the outside, going inside and trying to identify the garbage. What are the negative scripts you have about yourself that are stopping you from achieving whatever you're trying to achieve? And the next thing that I want to point out right now, that it's very important, you were mentioning Elon Musk and so many gurus out there or experts out there. We see them and we try to be like them. And we need to understand that when we switch our mind into expert mode, we just have lost the race or whatever you want, the journey, if you want to call it. Because what happens is, once you're in the expert mode, you believe that you need to know everything. You need to know everything. You need to, be that guru. But you need to understand that Elon Musk had his learning curve, and he's still learning, whether he says it or not. Everybody's learning. So if I turn my switch into expert off and learning mode on, I'm going to understand that, okay, I'm going into a new industry. I'm going to try this. Maybe at the beginning, I might get 1 or 2 clients for free and try out my strategies and my things to see if they work. And that's going to help me confirm if what I'm doing is correct. And if it doesn't work, I can start changing. I can learn. I can transform that into a learning experience, right?
That's kind of counterintuitive when you think about it. So, your limiting belief comes from you believing that you don't have everything you need to know. And then what you're just describing right now is actually 100% truth. When I hear it over and over, Brene Brown is one of these authors that I like to listen to. She talks about the power of vulnerability. And what you're describing right now is that aspect, right? Turn off that expert button and go into that understanding your vulnerabilities, knowing you don't know everything, knowing that you're going to walk into a room with people who are smarter than you, knowing that this is a venture and an opportunity for you to make a mistake, to learn a lesson, to improve upon. And that's totally different though. All of a sudden, if you walk in understanding that, you no longer have a limiting belief because you don't know everything. You don't have all the answers. You don't know what's going to happen once you cross through that door. You just have questions. And when you talk to people who are smarter than you, who have achieved more than you, who have gone on the path that you want to go on, that is the power of your vulnerability. It's your ability to ask these questions and get that information that you're looking for. What you were describing right now is having that vulnerability, that aspect of, I don't know. Is that one of those quality things that you see transition from an entrepreneur who's starting off and struggling to an entrepreneur who has reached the path that they're excelling at now?
Most of the times, yes, it has to do with this learning mode, because as you turn the learning mode, you're learning from everyone, even from your clients. And that's a big thing that happens. You stand there like, oh, I'm the expert here and I got to know more than my client. And if your client comes on and says, like, but what if we do a bot? What if we do this? What if we do that? And it's like, no, we're going to do what I say. It's like, wait, what are they bringing? What can I learn from it and evolve me too and evolve with him? So it doesn't mean that you know everything. You might know specific strategies that have worked for you, and now you're sharing with that person, but also you can learn from them. And that's going to take you and your business to the next level. Exactly.
You talked about when you transitioned, when you found a mentor, that your business became successful. And I'm kind of curious, did you leave a particular business and start something completely different? Because it was like, you found who you're supposed to be and what your message is. You kind of found yourself, and then went on this journey, or did it modify the business that you already had and you scaled that?
It modified the business I already had. I've been in that business for 17 years now, till today. It's still working. I have delegated a lot, and I started another business. It wasn't a business back then 10 years ago, but I started coaching. When she started training me and helping me, I started sharing that knowledge, like for free, helping people around me. And I started liking that a lot. So I transitioned a little bit from my company that I still have that company running. I started going into coaching. But it changed so much my mind that it was easier when I started my coaching business to keep going. Although we all know struggles are always there along the journey, because through struggles, we learn. It's not that, oh, the universe is being bad at us, I'm doing something wrong, that's why I'm struggling. No, struggling is part of the journey to grow. Because when you're struggling, you're in a dark pit, you're letting go of who you are not, and becoming your true self. And that's the journey that I went through, and it was amazing. And I'm still there. Don't get me wrong. I don't have everything figured out. I'm learning.
That's a great position to be in that self-awareness mode. So one of the problems that I've always had, and I've always struggled, because I'm one of those jack of all trades, master of none type individuals, right? Where I have multiple licenses and I hold them because what I really like to do is to talk to somebody about what it is that they're going through and then plug them into different areas that they need help in. And so that's where I make my revenue, right? If I plug them into real estate, I make money. If I plug them into insurance, I make money, all these different aspects of business. So when people would ask me the question, in which I'm going to ask you, what are you selling? I would have a difficult time answering that question, because what am I selling? I have a variety of things. I couldn't quite narrow it down. And it always gave me that second guess on myself, right? Well, maybe I'm selling nothing. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing in this business. Maybe and all these second thoughts that are always going through my head. But when I actually sit down and talk to somebody, 10, 15 minutes conversating about what's going on, and their eyes open up and I'm able to guide them in different directions, I helped fine tune that. So I'm going to ask you the same type of question. What are you selling, and how did you define that once you had this mentor?
So back then I started, what I did is emergency care. So I used to work on ambulances and started training people to work on ambulances. So that was back then. But then again, I started transition into the coaching business. And at the beginning, I used to help everyone in whatever they were struggling. So if they were struggling with a relationship, I would help them. If they're struggling with their job, with starting their business, with their kids, like mindset, it is applied to everything. And as you work on one area, it also impacts the rest in a good way. Mm-hmm. So it was difficult at the beginning to explain to people, what are you doing? Like, what do you do? Get the garbage out of your head. Like, what are you doing? And it's like, and that's something I want to bring to you is, what are the narratives that when you were a kid, if somebody had a job that you had similar, meant they were not doing anything, because what you were just telling me, what I heard between lines is like being trade of everything, not doing nothing specific. Like that doesn't exist. Back then when we were kids, that wasn't a job, So It's like, that's why you go back and forth with your mind. Like, what do I do? What am I worth? And then you realize that you do, but you still have a part of you of this mental, or you might go over it, but that mental struggle of, is this a real job? How can I explain the job that I do? And again, how do I explain others? I'm working on your mind. What? Working on your mind? You're out of your mind. That's what people tell me. And I'm out of my mind, and that's fine. So I started looking in ways to help people. So I've been an entrepreneur for 21 years. And a couple of months ago, I started transitioning to niching down, helping entrepreneurs that are getting stuck. And I also put the spiritual entrepreneur in there. And people ask me, what do you say about spiritual? Because I like working people that they're not only into the money. Like I got reach out to people saying like, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. Why? Because I want to. So it's okay. Thank you very much. Go see somebody else, because I don't do that. And it's not that I don't work with people to help them make money, because I have lots of clients that have increased their income. But the thing is, I want them to focus a little bit more on the impact, on helping others, serving, because that's what I feel my mission is, serve others. And that's why I just put the word there. It doesn't mean that they have to follow a specific thing. Just knowing that there's something else out there, the universe, God, whatever name you want to put it, and creating impact in the world and not just impacting your bank account, right?
That's, everybody has their own interpretation of what that's going to be and how they're going to do it. And it's funny that you say it that way too, because, I feel that when I consult, I don't ever charge anybody to consult. I sit down and I talk to you and I help you, figure out whatever the situation is that you're going to be in. If it's an avenue that I can make money off of, great, I'll send you in that direction. If I can't, that's fine. The fact that you improved makes me happy. That's my way of giving back. Whereas James over here, he's the type of guy who's like, you know what, when I have enough money, I'm just going to travel and, build schools and missionaries and churches and that sort of thing out in the world. And, you talk to my dad, and and that's what I was going to say. Talk to my dad and he's like, it's about solving homelessness. Everybody has their more that they want to do and how they're going to achieve that. And the other side of that is, when you do have that kind of income, when the revenue comes in and you don't have to worry about it anymore, it gives you that time and that flexibility to figure out what that more is, right? So let me ask you, in your type of business, it's very much one-on-one, very much consultation type business. What does it look like when you're ready to walk away? What is your business? How do you envision your business playing out when you're ready to retire or pass it on to a child or, walk away for whatever reason?
It's difficult because when I had the training facility, now 17 years, as I mentioned, I picture myself doing that nearly until the day I die. But now I found this other part of coaching people, sharing with people experiences and helping out. So really, if you tell me that, I don't see myself retiring. I see myself offering lectures, offering one-on-one every now and then or things like that, because I really, really enjoy what I do. Right now, I can tell you that maybe in 10, 20 years, things could change because that's what happened with my other business. But I don't see myself like retiring and just sitting back there and enjoying, because that wouldn't be in a way enjoying. Enjoying for me also is enjoying time off, of course. I'm taking some vacations right now with my family in a couple of days, but also enjoying for me is helping others. So seriously, when people tell me, what's your job? It's like, well, what is your business? It's my mission. I love what I do, my passion, right?
I love that. And it's funny because when you talk to like true people who actually get up in the morning and like what it is they do, they don't ever see themselves ending, right? You talk to somebody who hates what they do every single day. They can't wait for Friday to come, the end of the Friday. They hate Sunday nights, that sort of thing. But here's the weirdest part about it is in your description, you didn't have a dollar amount that you wanted to talk about. You didn't have a specific income level. And yet most entrepreneurs get into this business with that in mind, right? Most entrepreneurs start and I don't knock this at all. I think this is actually super cool. It's kind of like when you buy a lottery ticket. When you first have the idea that pops into your head, it's euphoric. You're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sell so many of this product. I'm going to help so many people. I'm going to get, and then all of a sudden reality sets in and we kind of get stuck. So when you come across the people who get stuck, this is where your forte is at. What are we getting them across? How are you getting them to back into that euphoric state of mind where they have opportunity, where they have growth? Why is it that they get stuck and then burn out?
So there's many things to that it's very difficult to give you a specific answer because every person is different. Like every movie, you want to compare one movie with another, it's really difficult because most movies are different. No, the mind is exactly the same. As we are kids, I'm going to give a little bit of explanation here. When we're kids, we learn everything in our mind at the beginning from mom or dad. Okay, so how they treat each other among themselves, how they treat themselves, and how they treat you are the scripts that you start learning when you're a kid. So if they fight amongst money, it's going to be negative scripts around money. Money is bad. Money brings problems. They got divorced over money. So money is something that's going to bring pain into my life. So we start creating out of different situations that could be very different for specific people. And I've had childhood that I talked to my brother told me that didn't happen. Like exactly as you're saying. And that's what my perception. And that's what I got to go for because I need to change my perception, not just by denying it, but by going through it in a way. So what do? I go into people's subconscious mind, bringing up the recording of their past and seeing what happens. So we go back in their memory and comes up Tommy, little Tommy, when he was 3 years old and he saw mom and dad fighting. And he started feeling that he wasn't good enough because mom and dad were fighting. Because when you're a kid, the world sets around you. So if mom and dad are fighting or dad is in a bad mood, it's because of me. It's always because of me. And that's how we start programming our mind when we're kids. We don't do it on purpose. Our parents don't do it on purpose. They're not bad people, but that's how we start training our mind. So if we can find those scripts in the past and start understanding that little Tommy understood that dad was screaming at him because dad had a bad mood, dad had a bad, day at work, little Tommy starts understanding and you kind of start changing your path. It's really weird, but it's amazing. As you re-educate little Tommy's perception, what's going to happen is you have made up this perception that you're not good enough because somebody's screaming at you. Your partner is angry at you. So as you change that perception in your past, your present situation, how you see the world changes and your future changes. So what I do, that's why I work one-on-one. It's difficult to put this on a course, to put this on an audio book or whatever. It's going into your past and asking to your little self what happened back then. And you start getting all the scripts out and what did he learn from those scripts? And then you start changing by explaining to that little you what happened. Mom was in a bad mood. Dad was fighting mom because of their own issues, blah, blah, blah. And it's amazing how the perception in the mind starts changing in the past and it starts affecting your present moment. Like that's what I said. People start seeing changes, small changes from the beginning. So it's easier to stay in the track. And sometimes, don't get me wrong, people go into darker places. But once they come out on the other side, it's amazing. I have a very good success rate because I'm working one-on-one. I know that if I take this to group sessions, only group, and people not opening up so much, my success rate is going to go down. So I try to keep it very personal.
I imagine people just bawling on the couch, letting it all out, and then kind of walking away clear-minded. That's kind of what I envision as you were describing that. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are going to need something like that to unplug some of those memories, to realign some of those thought processes. Can you do me a favor? Can you let our listening audience especially know how they can get a hold of you if they want to work with you?
So they can go up in Facebook and just put Tommy the Mind Engineer. That's kind of the nickname that I'm using, the Mind Engineer. Or they can go into unleashingyourmindset.com unleashingyourmindset.com. That's a website. There's a lot of free things that I'm offering. So I want people to know what they're getting into. I got a webinar, and the webinar has a lot of value. I did a mindset coaching bot where it takes you through different questions where you might be stuck and how to start identifying and how to start changing it. It's free, so go out there to a website. On my Facebook profile, you're going to see these trainings. I like helping people just for free, so they get to know what I do, and if they are interested, because the work that I do is very different from what's going out there. You know, going to your past and talking to your past self, that sounds weird, but it gets amazing results, and I've seen it for now 10 years, and I've been, you know, the living proof that it really changed, at least with me. And now with the people I'm working, the other day, a guy reached out, and as you were saying, I offer free consultations so people get to know me. I offer 100% value on my calls. And a guy had one call with me, and he went from 1K to 12K in a month because of his changing his perception.
It's funny, man. Perception is everything. You're able, I mean, what you're describing here is going back, and you can't change what happened in the past. We can't make any of those changes. And you figure that out, you're going to be filthy rich, right? You can do the butterfly effect type thing, go back and make a different choice. Whole different ballgame. But you can change the interpretation of what did happen, how you are perceiving it, and how it's affecting you going forward. That's just as valuable, because let's be honest, the choices and the things that happened in the past, for the most part, I mean, they don't matter anymore. It's how we see them and how we interpret them that is affecting us today versus what's in the past. Tommy, man, it's been an amazing show. Thank you for coming on and sharing with us.
Thank you, guys. It was really nice. Really nice. Thank you very much.
All right. Nick says, by the way, awesome show. Thanks, Nick. He's out there in Florida. Appreciate him. He's doing some big things. He's one of the loyal listeners of the show as well. Ladies and gents, remember to give us a follow if you can at Business Bros Pod. Give us a subscribe, rate, or review. And if you want to be a guest on the show, you can go to businessbros.biz/podcast guest. However, that list is 8 weeks long. We're booking into the end of January right now. So you can hop on the last minute guest list, businessbros.biz/last minute. I'll send out an email. You can jump the line, get to the front of the line, and be on the show. Talk about what it is that you got going on, just like Tommy here, taking advantage of that last minute call list. So thank you, Tommy, again for coming on the show. Appreciate you. And again, ladies and gents, Tommy, you can find him on Facebook at the Tommy Mind Engineer. Go check it out. I mean, I say this over and over and over again. If you don't try something, you maybe you don't work with Tommy. Maybe he's not the guy who to work with, right? But you're not going to know unless you give it a shot. So go over there, check out his stuff, learn a little bit, take some stuff in, take a different perspective. And then if it's something that you want to do, go ahead and check out Tommy's stuff. I mean, he's there for you. It's also unleashingyourmindset.com. Thanks a lot, Tommy, for coming on the show. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much, guys. And thank you for the listeners. Take care.
All right, ladies and gents, we'll see you tomorrow. It's Take Action Tuesday. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation, or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.